the coverings. Oh my God. I have people who are begging me to do a show entirely on the history of how did it get to the way it is? How did so like yours have to touch your ears, right? If it doesn't touch your ear, then it's not a covering. Is that true?
Kind of, yeah. Well, it's still a covering, just not big.
What is it called? If it goes, do you guys have just Old Order Mennonite
just have
ones?
mine, just Old Order. So there's two that changed over the course of years, like the horn and the black bomber. There's definitely have a different shape. But go back with the church split, they had the same, but that changed over the course of years. Theirs did get smaller, but they're driving a vehicle, you know. But if you would go back to way back when that church split was, I'm sure when that next Sunday rolled around and some went to the somewhere with the Weaverland conference, their coverings probably at one point were all the same, but it changed over years. They don't have the corner. Theirs are more smaller and just more round. We wouldn't have any hoarding. Yeah, there's really. So that has changed over years, but I only have what we would wear.
Is that a conscious choice, or is it just most of your customers are from your churches?
Yeah, because I can actually have people come in here, take a stack, go in the bathroom and fit them on, like, hey, this one fits me. But not so much when it's a smaller one. They would get them all custom made from. They're not available in stores, but I can do this because I have a lot of different styles, and you sooner can find
different style. These are different styles.
Yeah,
okay,
kind of. Yeah, bigger bag, smaller bag.
Wenger pattern. Got Wenger pattern with smaller back, size small through kind of.
So, and the tiniest little detail, the tiniest,
that is the bigger head?
One. Oh yeah.
This would fit my head?
Big bun to fill that in.
I got a lot of hair.
So there is
Am I allowed to do this? I have clean hair, don't worry.
One day I have one of your guests get one of these for a souvenir.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen people buy Amish ones. Now I know, like, it has to. Are you laughing at me? What is it? I'm wearing it wrong. I think it's not like this.
That's all. Yeah. So you should have a bun up here. You want to have it in the center of your covering. Yeah, something like that.
God, Herzog's laughing.
Because your hair's out.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous. On me, not you.
It actually looks really good with the black hair.
Really?
The white cover.
It makes it pop, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it pop. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so you have on the black string.
I think this started from a lady being too sloppy to keep the white ones clean.
Stop. Oh my word! And you have what color is yours?
Got the white. That are very dirty.
No one cares. Is there a length thing? Like if it's a certain length? If you have one up to here, does it mean something? Or
so I probably should put mine tied. I like how then put the bow thing right here. But my mom would tie hers like about down here.
Yeah,
like, kind of like that. And that has changed over the years too.
But it serves no purpose.
No,
at all.
No. Have, like really long.
Mm-hmm.
Who does?
That is the younger girls would have theirs longer, and that has something that has changed. So like the hoarding that we were in conference would no longer have them in the front in time. They have them in the back.
Why?
Never noticed. Something that changed, I think, with the covering style.
Oh, okay.
And at one point, the young folks were taking the covering strings off, but that didn't work.
Why?
And I think some of it is the coverings are almost the same as a more liberal church. They don't really know. So there's something about that covering string there. I think same with the black cars. They held on to those black cars. That's why they're called Black Bomber. Mennonite. Which I'm sure Scott probably heard that already.
So that was that group that there was a church in the 1950s, right? When chrome bumpers, they used to have like really like bright.
Well, that's
what chrome is. It's like it looks like a mirror on the back of your car, the bumper thing. And then the church said.
So there was some that wanted the cars and some did not, and that's when it gave us.
That was the medium. Okay. All right.
When you said the 50s, I'm not good on my history. I wouldn't even have known which year that was.
I'm just thinking about cars. 50s cars were like really like brash and like boom, like here I am. Look at me drive down the road.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that was, but then so that change, I think, with their coverings change. That's how the strings did too.
So the strings serve no purpose.
Not really.
Now,
I think years ago, I'm guessing they were tied here to keep it on. They were probably.
But now you pin it, right?
We pin it. And
So
another state.
there's nothing.
There
Okay,
is not.
so the
It's-
black, other than it's easier to keep it clean,
That
why
goes-
do young girls wear white ones and older girls wear black
kind
ones?
of like those bonnets when I talked about the bigger piece in the back. That's kind of how it is with these. After a few children married
And
they'll
kids grabbing
switch,
them.
yes, they'll switch to black. And I think one reason is it's hard to keep those white because we have them front here.
Yeah.
So
of
I
course.
would have switched after being married. I don't know. Challenge Cheryl will maybe. I don't know. I actually don't remember. Couple of children, maybe. It's actually a personal choice. I see some that are married, have one child, and they're getting the black string. So it's actually kind of whenever each person wants to. But that's kind of an age group. But I declare some of it is the trend is they're doing it sooner. It's so much easier. You don't see anything. I think that is some of it.
I thought some of it was that because you guys don't wear wedding rings.
To
Because-
show they're married.
Yes.
No, it actually isn't, because when I first married, if you would go to Conestoga Church down here on Sunday, you would notice the ones that are married for a year to 2 still have the white. And that changed over the course of years. Like mom would say a few children or a few years of marriage, and then at one point they went to the black covering strings. And I see some now do it much sooner than what I did. So give it another 10 years, that could flip. It
Yeah,
does, that
yeah,
could
yeah,
flip. That
yeah.
somebody's like, I'm not ready for black. It does make you a little. I guess to me, when I went to the black, it made me feel a little bit older because I now have the black strings.
So how do you know if somebody's single or not? It has nothing to do with the black
Nothing,
versus the
nothing.
white. There is
Nope.
nothing.
Mm-mm.
Like Amish men, if they've got a beard, married,
Mhm.
keep off. If
There's-
they're clean shaven, fair
Mhm.
game. Well,
So
at least
if
to
you-
Amish girls, not.
Because if you look, if you look at Elva, there's no way you would know is Elva married or not.
Not at all.
No,
She wears
There's-
black strings.
I think she does.
She does have
She
black.
does now.
Yeah,
I
we had a
think
con-
she.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's no way of anybody knowing if she's single or not without asking somebody.
Because I dress in English clothes
Mhm.
and I can go anywhere, and I don't want somebody to know, like not to know that I'm
Mhm.
married,
Mhm.
right?
In other words, not hitting on you.
Not hitting. Thank you. I like the way you said that. So even though you guys aren't wearing jewelry, because it's viewed, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's viewed as adorning yourself with
Mhm.
whatever. If I'm not wearing this is not a piece of jewelry to me. This is
Mhm.
like literally like it's an advertisement.
Yeah. And that is your marriage vows on
Yeah,
your finger.
on my finger.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I can be wearing jeans, I can be wearing shorts, I can be wearing pants, I can be whatever.
Mhm. But that.
This
Yeah.
is the only piece of jewelry that signifies so loudly that I am not available.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to think that somebody married,
Mhm.
that somehow you don't feel like you're half dressed.
Well,
Without
that would be
this.
like me
Is that
going.
weird?
No, that would be like me going out without my prayer covering. It wouldn't feel right. That's how it would be for me to go out without my prayer covering on, because it's such a part of what I grew up with, and I have convictions. So I do get that.
Wow. So like the way that I wear my jewelry, and like I know that the Bible says you shouldn't adorn yourself with jewels and gold, but like I also know like girls wear barrettes
Mhm.
and girls wear cute bobby pins and
Mhm.
there's stuff in the hair. Like who decided that was okay, but not a wedding ring or
Mhm.
something that signifies your devotion to your
Mhm.
husband? Like who chose that?
That can really vary too, as maybe a newer style. There we have it again, newer style barrettes and stuff coming out.
Yeah.
But I think that is something that does kind of get mentioned about. No,
Does it?
I don't know if it does anymore. It might have at one point about like the flashy barrettes and stuff. But anymore, I don't think you hear that too much. I myself never went for the bright silver, the gold, the huge. I didn't care for that, but some kind of like that look. I don't.
Do they talk
Like-
about this in church? Like,
It-
are you sitting in church in the pew? They do their thing.
It would somewhat
Do they
get
say, okay,
mentioned.
guys, the covering strings are getting a little too whatever, or the skirt length is because, or is that where you hear like the news?
Some, yeah. It's kind of part of the church rules. Like, kind of, I guess you would say we have somewhat a dress code that
For sure.
that would get touched. But if you look at Angie, turn your head, Angie. See, there is nothing shiny in there. She just doesn't. She doesn't like it. But you will see some girls that might get. Well, there's some with a jewel on. You might see some that would like this. Yeah. I myself don't really care for that.
Mhm.
I always just did the darker, but there is some young girls that would like that.
It's not viewed as a biblical like
Not
indiscretion.
really, no. But I think definitely some people would not approve of it. I guess there it's kind of a choice with does the mom want the daughter to look that way? Like I know it might have been mentioned, but I don't really want to. I can't really say I hear too much of that. But that probably changed too over time.
Over time, things have changed. Yeah, and like people think that like conservative Mennonites and Amish are like frozen in time. Like we had guests, you guys are gonna laugh. We had guests at our bed and breakfast the other day, and the Amazon truck pulled up, and they were shocked. I'm like, I don't live in like a foreign country, or like it's not like I live in the middle of like the mountains in a cabin in the woods. Like
where they come with a horse and buggy to drop off your meal.
Crazy to me, and I just like it was one of those moments where I was like, don't respond, but like people don't realize that every culture is changing. Yours is changing differently than my culture is changing.
Slowly. You know, I think that's some of it. It changes, but as the world changes, and you have other things that come out, and it's getting harder to do business without a lot. Like there's a lot of that has been changing, and I think the church realizes that, and they will shift, but not fast and not a lot, because I do get it.
I do too.
Like you said, if the change is too fast and too all that, you will lose everything you have. You no longer will be. But if somebody chooses to drop all that, that is their personal choice. And there's some that do.
Yep, we got the church hat going. Will you guys wear this kind of hat, or is this for older people?
It's for church. We only wear them for church. But
only. Yeah, but you guys wear this version.
Yeah. Yep.
She would do the navy because she doesn't have her hair in a bun yet. So Nicole would
people that wear coverings wear the black ones.
Nicole would be
no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
She would be wearing a navy one, but once she puts her hair up and does the covering and the hair in a bun, they go to a black.
So now the only reason why you wear your hair up and you wear your hair in a braid is because you joined the church, or no?
Hasn't yet, but she's older. There's kind of an age about.
So it has nothing to do with being baptized in
some churches do, but we don't.
So it's more of a coming of age thing. How old do you have? When did you start wearing?
12.
A year ago?
No.
2 years ago?
It was Nicole's gonna start.
I think, yeah.
Does that excite you, or does that make you feel weird, or does that?
I asked her today.
It is, yes, kind of. You know, we have to work with. Well, yes, it takes some work when they come to braid.
Yeah,
Try to get
your
that,
pain, my friend. I've got a lot going on up here too. Yeah, it's a pain.
So then the black wants to have the hair up, and this you'll find really interesting.
Yes,
and it's an old tradition. So at a certain point, I'm gonna say mid-30s to 40, you have to get one with a longer ruffle.
Why?
Why? I do not know.
Why? Why?
Tradition.
That's it. There's no other reason.
At a certain point, they would go with, and you know.
So this is for me and you, but
and that's for my girls.
This.
Yes.
Oh my God. Let me.
And you know,
this is it. This is literally. This is a half of an inch difference.
And it's gathered. There is, I think, a reason.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah. Years ago, I think maybe the pieces were even longer. Like, I'm talking go back to when there was dirt roads and they didn't want to get the dust and all that. I think those, if you get Lauren this water, like those type, they had the yeah, they were covered like way front to keep the sun out and keep the dirt. And they would have had a big piece like to cover that neck. I think that's what it was. And this just went smaller at one point.
It's a sunbonnet.
Yeah, it's a sunbonnet. Like, that would be like the sunbonnet type. You know, that's kind of what I'm talking about, like with a big piece there to protect, to keep them, you know, the roads for dirty and stuff. But this would only be like a church bonnet.
I can't.
I can't
get over this. I had no idea. Did you? He's laughing at me. Did you know this?
You know, being a guy, I probably didn't pay too much attention to women's fashion.
A little bit like anybody can live local, never realize that the Amish and the do not have the same type of
I know, the gray and the black.
Yes.
Oh, I just told him that 10 years ago, and he looked at me like I had 4 heads. I'm like, how can you?
I did know that growing
up. You did not. I remember this. Okay, so all right. So this is church. What is this? Is hang out at on your bike? Is this the bike?
Some of it, actually, this would be a church bonnet. This would maybe be like a 4 to 6-year-old. Not doing the dark one yet. They would do the floral with the polka dots. So there's some that would do this. Yeah, they could do it. They could have a covering on underneath there. So this was actually a really good setup. The gray with the polka dot. I kind of like that. So it changes, you know, as they get older. They get into the next category, I guess you would say, like kind of the florals, and they go to the
But we
door.
never wore those.
My girls don't wear these.
Why?
I just never. My mom didn't really enforce it. I guess I went to school on a bus.
I think is your mom the trendiest Old Order Mennonite in town?
Probably.
Seriously,
Probably
like,
some.
no, am I right? Because she's
Probably
so like,
someone.
I think
Mom
you would be like the cool mom.
Like mom did not make me wear a sunbonnet, but my friends did. But I think I wore a bandana, just like that headscarf.
Yeah.
And so then, there's a trick to that. And so then I did not bother with my girls either, and they were quite glad they didn't have to.
Why?
It's kind of cute. Okay,
but why? Why is this one bright pink and this is like all really like?
Like I think this would be like so some would require their girls to wear them during the week. Say they're going away in the buggy or whatever.
They require them.
Some would.
Those
Some
are
would.
more,
I would say the more conservatives
Yeah.
might always make sure that they each have something on their head.
Okay,
But
so,
that has kind of changed over the years.
Okay, so when you say the more conservative, you guys are Old Order Mennonite. Like, do you get more conservative than what you guys are in our county if you're Mennonite? I mean, obviously there's Amish, but as Old Order, like, aren't you guys like have the most like going on? So who's wearing that? If these people are even
Well, like say I'm gonna go to town for groceries.
okay,
And I have little girls with me.
yes.
Some moms would require them to wear something on their head.
Is it a,
But
it's a
has-
personal
It's
choice?
a personal choice, and that has changed over the years. So in their school, there would be a few that would have this on to go to school.
not anymore.
I think it
Ever?
Well,
it changes. Some would still hold on to some of those old traditions, and some would not. It's a sign of the changing times.
I've often thought about the sweatshirt, like like this right here. Like,
That's
when did that? I noticed there was a shift. Like it was
probably in the last
5 years, right?
5, 10 maybe.
Now, are people
depending.
pushing back on that? Because like that, this concept is like, it kind of reminds me. Just hear my crazy, you guys. It reminds me of the General Conference Mennonites, because if you look back at like, I was just looking this up yesterday for like getting ready for what we're doing. Lancaster Mennonite High School. You guys have heard of it, right? It would be like the more progressive, whatever. Today they have absolutely no dress code at all. Everybody looks exactly the same, modern,
Right.
English. If you look at the Lancaster Mennonite yearbook, which would be like that collection of each year, and you look at 1945, and then you look at 1955, 1965, you can see the visual difference. And it is amazing when you look at just 50 years. It literally went from almost looking like you guys, and I'm not exaggerating, like very, very little difference. I mean, obviously the fabric style and whatever, but the cape, the covering, the strings touching the ears, it was all like that. And it completely changed because it started with these small things. So I'm curious, like as a teenager, like obviously you would be glad to wear this because you look cute in it, right? Let's be honest. But like, is there more pushback on this? Because I don't see any girls your age not wearing these kinds of sweatshirts.
There would
What's
be
going
some
on?
that don't. Quite a lot of families that would not.
They would not.
No. Honestly, yes, there is some concern because we don't want to lose what we have.